Spicy tuna poke nachos is one of the premier food items I enjoy when I visit my favorite place on earth, Hawaii. And my allergies are killing me, I'm stressed out, and I need a vacation. And currently I can't swing an 11-hour flight to Hawaii, so instead, we're gonna make my version here today, which is a lot easier than flying to Hawaii, and with the additions I make, maybe a little bit better. First, we need to make the teriyaki sauce, which is quite simple. The ratio is just 1 part sugar, any kind you want, to 1 part soy sauce, to 1 part mirin. I'm gonna go 1/3 cup of each. Stir it all together, bring it to a boil, and make sure that sugar completely dissolves. And then simmer it for about 5 minutes until it reduces slightly and thickens into more of a glaze. After 5 minutes, to test the consistency, I'll pour a little onto a cold plate so that it cools rapidly and gives me a better sense of how thick or thin the sauce is based on how fast or slow it runs on the plate. Once it's nice and glazy, I'll pour it into a bowl and allow it to cool in the fridge. Next up, we need to marinate the tuna. This here is ahi tuna. In Hawaii, it refers to 2 specific species of tuna, yellowfin and big eye. And as far as sushi grade tuna is concerned, it's kind of a meaningless term. To me, it's just a general term that just qualifies good fish that is suitable for eating raw, meaning it's got a beautiful kind of ruby color and it lacks a lot of sinew, which is not very beneficial when it comes to eating raw fish. First, I'm gonna check for any small areas that have any sinew and then remove it. And then I'm gonna slice the tuna into slabs against the grain, then turn the slabs into thin strips, and then turn that bunch and then cut them into a small dice. In Hawaii, for traditional poke, you'd cut the tuna into thicker cubes, but for nachos, I like it smaller to distribute them better on top of the nachos. Once they're diced up, get them into a bowl. Now, traditionally, poke contains something called Maui onion, a special, sweet, beautiful type of onion that works great in this recipe, which I don't have access to, so I'm just gonna omit that. I think it's fine considering everything else we're adding to the poke. So I'm just gonna marinate the tuna with a little bit of soy sauce. Just enough to almost allow the tuna to like soak it up like a sponge without there being like a pool of soy sauce at the bottom of the bowl when you're done. And then again, a little drizzle of sesame oil and just a pinch of salt. You could add green onions to it too, but we're adding them later. Mix it all up. Make sure that tuna soaks up all that soy sauce. You could smell it. You should be able to smell the sesame oil, and there shouldn't be that much soy sauce accumulating at the bottom of the bowl. Everything's glistening, looks moist. That's perfect. Gonna wrap it and then let it chill in the fridge until we're ready to use it. Next up, we've got some homemade furikake, which is a popular Japanese topping, seasoning, I guess you could call it, that they often use to top a bowl of rice. And it's made up of roasted seaweed flakes, sesame seeds, some sugar, some salt, sometimes bonito, but I'm gonna omit that, and I'm gonna add some Korean chili flake, which adds a nice color to it and a little bit of nice heat. So into the bowl, we're gonna go with our roasted seaweed flakes. These are great. Mr. Chow sells a salad that's similar to this. To that, we're gonna add some white sesame seed, nice color contrast. Then for another color contrast and some heat, that chili flake. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt and then like a teaspoon of sugar. And then mix it all up. And this is what we're gonna use to top our nachos at the end. You can set that off to the side. Now before we get into frying our wonton chips, I gotta come clean. Like I said, I'm burnt out, I'm stressed, I'm a bit down in the dumps. It happens sometimes, I'm going through it now. And that's why I'm using our sponsor today, BetterHelp, to release some of the pressure from all the stress and anxiety I'm feeling. BetterHelp makes starting therapy easier and much less intimidating for a lot of people. And if you're like me and you've been to in-person therapy before, you know how annoying it is sitting in a waiting room, appointments always running late, and you just sort of feel exposed. BetterHelp can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network based on your needs, preferences, and location, which gives you access to a wider range of expertise that may not be available in your area. To get started, you fill out a questionnaire that will ask you questions about what challenges you're going through and what kind of therapist you'd like, and then you'll be matched with a therapist in most cases within 48 hours. And then you can schedule therapy sessions at a time that's convenient for you. And best of all, if you don't love your therapist, you can request a new one at any time at no additional charge. So if you want to join the over 4 million people who've used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life, BetterHelp is giving my audience 10% off your first month when you use the link down in the description or you visit betterhelp.com/notanothercookingshow. Now we can fry some wonton. Now frying wontons make great chips. And to make them into chips, you want to get square wontons. You want to cut them in half into triangles and then just loosen up the layers so they don't stick to each other. So we just want to fill a pot with some frying oil about halfway and then preheat it to 325 degrees. Once the oil is hot, carefully drop in the wontons a few at a time, making sure to only add enough to form one layer of chips floating in the oil. Gently toss and flip them around in the oil to evenly brown them, and you want to make sure the oil never gets too hot, otherwise the wontons form these large bubbles. Once they're golden brown, fish them out of the oil and into a paper towel lined bowl and season them with a little bit of salt, and continue with another batch of the wontons. And this is a perfect example of a chip. Little crispy bubbles, not big ones, crispy, sturdy, not too dark. That's the template. Now just go through, finish frying off the rest of the chips until they're all perfect. And then we've got our base. And they actually make pretty amazing chips, especially for nachos. They're sturdy, they're not frail, they hold up, they're crunchy. It's amazing. Set these off to the side. Next up, we're going to be making a spicy mayo, which is gonna be drizzled on top. And it's a joke how easy it is. We're just gonna use some QP mayo and a little bit of sriracha. Thank God sriracha's back. Then we're just gonna stir it all together until the sriracha's completely mixed into the mayo and there's no red streaks of unmixed sriracha remaining. Then we're gonna transfer that into a squeeze bottle. You don't have to, but I like the look that it's gonna get. Now our teriyaki sauce is nice and thick and glazy. Put that into a squeeze bottle as well. Next up, we need to prepare a few toppings. Some green onions, a red finger chili, or any chili that you can get your hands on, and a finely diced avocado. I'm gonna keep the green onions bundled and then just slice them as thin as I can. And for garnish, the thinner you go, the better it's gonna look, in my opinion. Do the same thing to the finger chili. Set these aside, these are gonna add some nice color. And then the avocado, we wanna just dice the avocado around the size that we diced the tuna, just so it blends in nicely with the whole mixture and has a nice little confetti of color to the whole dish. We're gonna start with a base layer of chips. And look how beautiful our tuna is. Absorbed all that flavor. It's got a beautiful deep color. We're just gonna go with a nice little layer right on top of the chips. And try to get some in every little crevice. This first layer, you don't have to go crazy. We're really gonna fill the top on the second layer. Then to mix in some color, some of the avocado. Then another layer of chips. Now we can really go on top with the tuna. And I'm distributing them on the chips with the mindset of when I pull a chip out to eat it, I know there's gonna be some tuna on that chip. And then again, the avocado for more color. Then we're gonna go with our green onions. And then the chilies. Now before we add the furikake, we want to add the sauces so the furikake sort of stick to it. So first I'm going to do the teriyaki glaze, and then the spicy mayo. Now you go on with the furikake. Now what's beautiful about the way we assembled these nachos, the order in which things went on. When you pull out a chip, it's got everything on it. It's got sweetness, it's got spice, it's got crunch. As far as nachos go, this is an incredible variation. Going to Hawaii right now is unrealistic, but this scratches my itch. If you're a nachos freak, recipe's gonna be down in the description. You've gotta try this. That's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.